see. Being a QB away is a myth. You're an offensive system change away. Not necessarily. Trayvon Boykin changed Texas Christian into a juggernaut. You know, when they had Casey Paul Hall, they were good. As soon as that was no longer true, they weren't. See, Iowa State got a good quarterback, Brock Purdy. Now they're good. UGA is an offensive way. They had some great QBs. I don't know, man. Jake Fromm is a great QB. Just because you beat Florida 4 times in a row doesn't make you a great QB. Let me see. So it wasn't Joe Brady. You guys are contradicting yourselves. Okay, well, we'll get to that in a second here, Freeman. Who else we got in here? I don't even think Grinch is a huge upgrade. Okay, well, I mean, cool. But that's just the thing. You don't need a huge upgrade at Oklahoma. You just need an upgrade. You ain't got to have a dynamic defense. You just got to have a decent defense because the offense is going to put up 48 a game. Let's see. What else we got in here? Risking detention for this. Jackson, don't risk detention for this. Go back to class, dog. Go back to class. Catch the replay. It's all right. Don't get caught doing this. Let me see. What else we got in here? Norvell doesn't have a locker room, though. It doesn't matter if he got a locker room if they still playing. I mean, hell, LSU ain't got a locker room. Let's see, where's chance the SEC gets not 2 but 3 teams in the college football playoff? No, because you're not going to put a team with 2 losses in. You're just not going to do it. Let's see. All right. Let's do this thing on the LSU dumpster fire. Okay? LSU has lost Jamar Chase, Tyler Shelvin, Kerry Vincent to opt-outs. All dudes that have chosen to take the bag in a state where the COVID is taking over in a draft-eligible season. Okay. So on top of those 3 high-profile opt-outs, you also are down to 70 scholarship players. For those of you that still live under that particular rock, FBS teams can have 85 scholarship players. So they've lost quite a few to transfer as well. Ed Orgeron goes on the Zooms yesterday to say he had no idea Tyler Shelvin was going to opt out. And he's gotten wind that a few more might. And he doesn't want anybody else to opt out, but he can't choose to tell them not to. Then you have the news that Ed Orgeron walked into what he thought was going to be the beginning of a scheduled practice and found 6 players in the room where he's supposed to have more than 100. Gets a call a little bit later from the president's office at LSU and says, hey, your team has marched down here. They would like to talk to you. Turns out Jacoby Stevens, going to be the leader in that secondary, organized a march, Black Lives Matter. And nobody told Ed Orgeron. Can't happen if you're the head coach. If you're the head coach, you got to know. Especially when Nick Saban is walking in front of his players the same damn day. One guy has his locker room, one guy does not. Even as Ed Orgeron continues to put together a top 5 recruiting class. Okay. We got some players are still pissed at Ed Orgeron because he went on Fox News to say that he loved Donald Trump. Now, no matter how you feel about the Trump or about the politics, you can't afford to tell all y'all players to go take a hike because you got to be able to field a football team, let alone defend your national championship. So for all of y'all that's going to be in the comments talking about, we don't need no black players, America's free, see how you can field an LSU football team without black players. Because Nick Saban was smart about this. Nick Saban got the job at LSU and saw that Mark Spears was the number 1 player in the state. Found Mark Spears in Baton Rouge and said, Marcus, I can't let you leave the state. And he said, you ain't got to worry about me leaving the state, coach. I'm going to Southern. Historically black university just down the road, also in Baton Rouge. And Nick Saban decided to say, what do you need me to do for you to come to LSU? And once Mark Spears saw that Nick Saban was on the program of trying to win football games and recruit as many black players as he possibly could, everybody else got on the program at LSU. They won a national championship in 03. They won a national championship in 07. Now everybody talking about LSU in the way that we've been talking about LSU. But that wasn't always true. if you want to tell me that you want to go back to segregated football at LSU, you stupid, and you deserve everything that you're going to get. So you can't actually act like Ed Orgeron going on Fox News and saying something that's going to offend most of his black players is not a small thing that they can overlook. Even K-Lavon Chasen, who Ed Orgeron called something like a son, and who K-Lavon Chasen called Ed Orgeron something like a dad, said, yo, look, I mean this in the worst and best way possible. Coach O is a football dude. He only knows and cares about football, which is to say, maybe he shouldn't be on Fox News talking about how he feels about the president in the first place. Because now you got a whole different level of opt-outs on your hands. Because I talked to some parents that got some underclassmen down there at LSU, and while they're overjoyed that their kids are going to get to play, they also looking at Ed Orgeron kind of like Riley did Granddad. Because game recognized game, Granddad, and you looking kind of unfamiliar. That's where Ed O is right now in August. In August. I did not have, this is a conversation that you expect to have in April, in May, not in August. Now, add to this, Bo Pelini and his scheme, brand new players. You expecting Jabril Cox to be the dude. Maybe he will be. Cool. Damon Clark to be the dude. Maybe he will be. Cool. Now you got to talk about putting Myles Brennan at quarterback. All right. For those of you that ain't up on game, because I've run into a number of LSU fans that don't even understand this, Myles Brennan is a rich kid. Myles Brennan is a rich kid in the way that Johnny Manziel was a rich kid. He comes from money. Okay? His parents have land that he goes to hunt. His granddaddy owned Brennan's in New Orleans. They own 3 restaurants in New Orleans, in the rich part of New Orleans. They had a business in Atlanta. They had a business in Memphis. They have a business in Destin. They got money. So if you know that you are riding on this 2020 season to try to get your kid Myles Brennan to the next level, and you know that Jamar Chase is a great set of coattails to ride into that, maybe you would try to convince Jamar Chase that you would be taken care of if you chose to return to play football at LSU. Now, there's a big difference between taking money that the NCAA ain't going to come after you for and taking money that the NCAA might come after you for. But at LSU, I tend to believe those signs of things get overlooked because we watched Odell Beckham Jr. go out there with a stack, with a grip, and rip it off and pay these men their money. Make like Teddy KGB. Pay that man his money. So you trying to tell me that Myles Brennan's parents, Myles Brennan's people ain't looking at Jamar Chase like, what we got to do to get this done? Because now you left with Terrace Marshall, Racey McMath, who I really want to see play football, quite honestly, like as a starter. You better hope that Trey Palmer comes on. You better hope that Keyshawn Booth is exactly what he perceives himself to be. You have talent, but you also got Myles Brennan. And then add to that, Jamar Chase could look over at Myles Brennan and be like, yo, man, you're not Joe Burrow. Because the way that people was talking about Joe Burrow leading up to this 2019 season is not the way that people talking about Myles Brennan leading up to the 2020 season. And remember, Myles Brennan was a freshman in 2017, which is to say that he's already been at LSU for an enormous amount of time, and he still couldn't beat Joe Burrow. That's not a good look. Then you got to take into account, their schedule. Because you still got your SEC West opponents that owe you an L. Arkansas remembers Ed Orgeron getting up in front of people talking about Arkansas ain't beat nobody in a long time. We not going to really celebrate that. Whoa! You think the Hogs didn't forgot? Nah, man. They on their Roy Jones Jr. Y'all must have forgot. Arkansas can't wait to be good again, and they would love to announce them over LSU's dead body. They want nothing more than to stop a mud hole in LSU and walk it dry. I bet they want to be LSU more than they want to be. They want to be ampersand U more. They can't stand Texas A&M. Arkansas fans hate Texas A&M. They can't stand them. And they can't wait for this to go back to a home and home because going to Jerry World just wasn't working for nobody. They want to beat Texas A&M in the worst way. But second to that, I'll bet they want to stump a mud hole and walk dry LSU. I could totally see it. That's where I'm at with it. LSU going to catch 5 losses in 2020. LSU fans going to stay showing up to this channel talking about what's not going to happen. Fine. Whatever. I'm here. Been right most of the time, too. All right. Let me check the chat before we get up out of here. Let's see. Man, 333 of y'all in here. I thought the 3 o'clock was a good time to start. I'm glad that this is working out for everybody. I really am. Because I had to think about when we were going to do the live shows. And since I'm only doing the live shows for the RJ Young Show podcast on Mondays and Wednesdays, this is a big deal. Also, show up on Saturday to the podcast, wherever it is you get your podcast. And you'll get what I call in the Saturday podcast, which is just kind of an exclusive for that particular service, where I talk with Martin Warren, who is the father of Darian Green Warren, who is a true freshman at Michigan, about all the things going on in the Big Ten, what the recruiting process is like. If you are a parent of a recruit or you're interested in inside recruiting, he's actually opened up in a big way. He's also a stepdad, kind of like me. So I'm really interested in talking with him about that, because his kid thought he was so cool that not only does he call him dad, but he wanted to hyphenate his name. I thought that was just, that's next level. Like, that's when you know that you dad and right, is when your kid looks at you and be like, nah, I want your name. You know, it's enough that I call you dad, but I want your name. Like, that's always going to mean the world to me, and I'm going to look up to Martin for a very long time. As I had said before, if you leave a rating on the RJ Young Show podcast, like on Apple, I'm going to read it here, especially if you leave 5 stars. So this one is Rex Too Tough. He left this one on Friday. It's titled Love These. RJ is hands down the best person to come to for college football news, and it's always a good time. Been listening for a while now, and I love it. And I'm not even a Sooners fan. Keep it up, man. Love what you're doing. I appreciate that, Rex. That's good looks. My buddy Abe El Rab got on here, too, saying the RJ Young Show provides in-depth analysis and insightful commentary with wit and passion. I appreciate that. I got Bones934. I'm in here for 5 stars. Talking about, I don't know why, but today is the first day I started listening to the podcast, and you were the first person I listened to. Love the content. Keep it coming, man. Much love from Lincoln, Nebraska. My man, he said boomer. Let me see. And the last one I'm going to get to here. Who better than RJ? Man, dude talks all college football. Everyone gets love on here. Gotta love it. Keep it up. And he gives me the goat emoji. That's cool. I appreciate that. Again, subscribe to the RJ Young Show podcast. Rate it. Review it. Leave us 5 stars. If you leave us a nice review, I will read it right here on the show. Yeah, I think that's going to be enough. Appreciate you. Oh, there's my girlfriend popping in here. New time apparently ain't in my head yet, but I'll get it. Yeah, for those of y'all that missed, she called a little bit, but it's cool. I answer the phone because I like to think what would happen if I didn't answer the phone. Also, that's her, like, that pillow right there. She made that pillow for me. Somebody was in the comments calling it porn. I'm like, are you even looking? She got on panties. Like, what are you talking about? Anyway, that's going to do it for me. I will catch y'all, like, at the 5 o'clock upload. For those of you who don't know, usually the way it works is a noon upload, a 3 o'clock upload, a 5 o'clock upload, and a 6 o'clock upload, all Central Standard Time. But as news breaks, I tend to like to cover news, and you'll see the clips from the show all over the channel. Appreciate y'all, man. I'm having a great time. All right. Deuces.